I go where everyone is friendly. I go where I am known. I go where I'm not an illusion. Where I go, I've noticed. Everybody goes there. Everybody goes there.
Hi, Carla. I'm so excited to be here. I think you may be on mute, potentially. I just want to make sure that
I
we're
am
good
on
to
mute. Well,
No,
I will
that's
redo
okay.
that again. Thank
No,
you.
I didn't want to interrupt you unless it was on my end. And I was just like,
No,
you know.
that's the beauty of live streaming. Isn't that funny that I did that? Well, I will
No.
open the show again then. Like I said, everyone, welcome to Around Town TV Live. It's our first show in 2026. I have been battling and still am influenza A and shingles since Saturday, December 27th, but I'm 90% there. So it feels good to be back. And many of you know Around Town TV as we're not only the Twin Cities, Minnesota, and America's lifestyle and business experts, and we've been featuring the best kept secrets, businesses, organizations, and people since 2003. We're the Twin Cities' longest airing television community showcase. And back to the introduction of my very special guest tonight. She is the 2025 Beaurline Family Foundation Upper Midwest Emmys Student Production Awards Scholarship recipient. Please welcome Savannah Reinke.
Hello, I'm excited to be here. It's my take two, so it's better the second time, right?
Oh, it always is better the second time. Yeah. And, thank God for a pro like yourself, who's going into this industry so that you could help me. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. We all do it. I think I've done that accidentally on every single Zoom class that I've had in the past 6 months. So.
Well, not only is Savannah our 2025 Beaurline Family Foundation recipient, she's got quite a background, and we're going to get into that in a moment. But we're going to talk about and learn a little bit more about Savannah. We're going to talk about the 15th Annual Student Production Awards coming up here in April. And these awards recognize outstanding students' achievements in video media production. We're also going to talk about the AV All-Stars, classroom grants, and all the scholarships for high school and college students that can apply. The deadline, though, is fast approaching, February 6th. And above this video is all the information, including the links. And of course, I'm partial. I want you to apply for the Beaurline Family Foundation Scholarship. But all the information you need is on that page of MidwestEmmys.org and the students and the teachers link. Before we get into learning more about Savannah, this is for educators, parents, grandparents, and students. Share. Students that are in the upper Midwest in Minnesota. Yep, I have the states. Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, and Western Wisconsin. So there is a certain area. So for any students in that area in the schools, you can apply for all. Let's learn a little bit more about Savannah. Savannah, if you wouldn't mind sharing what brought you, where you're from, and what brought you to Minnesota and St. Cloud State. And we'll get into a little bit more about your hobbies and backgrounds as well.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, the decision. That's a long story, but I'll try to shorten it up. So I'm originally from Malta Bend, Missouri, which if you've never heard of that, nobody has. So that's okay. It's a town of 187 people. So pretty small. I'm pretty sure on one side of the town, it's probably about a half a mile that you have to like drive through where you see one town population sign and the other, and one says 187 and one says 188 on the other. So I don't think we've ever figured out how many people actually live there, but it's something like that. Yeah. No, not very many. There's one flashing stoplight and everything else is gravel roads. So
what's the biggest city in Missouri that you're closest to?
Oh man, I would say the closest one, Columbia, is technically the closest. The closest is Sedalia, which not many people know, but that's actually where the Missouri State Fair is held. So that's how some people know that one. But Kansas City's just a little bit farther than Columbia. So Columbia and Kansas City are really the ones. I think it's funny just because you know this in Minnesota too, but they'll hear where you're from. They're like, oh yeah, so you go to St. Louis all the time. I'm like, well, St. Louis is like 3 hours and 45 minutes away. So not really, but you know, you knew that was in Missouri. So
that's awesome. That's wonderful. And what made you decide St. Cloud State?
Yeah.
And talk about a little bit about that and your sports background as well.
Yeah, for sure. When it came to St. Cloud State, my parents gave me one thing to follow when looking at a college, and they said academics is number one and sports will always follow. So my main thing was figuring out what was the best program for broadcasting. And I knew pretty early, and we'll probably get into it a little bit later, that I wanted to go into some type of storytelling. That's been my big thing all along, is storytelling. And so by that point, I had realized that probably broadcasting TV was the option that I wanted to go into. So I was really just, internet search, what's the best broadcasting schools? And funny enough, I found this ranking, and St. Cloud State at the time was number 5 in sports broadcasting. So it was on my radar from the beginning. And I was like, oh, this is great. And it was kind of crazy. I think it was like 2 weeks later. So this is either was my end of junior year, beginning of senior. I don't remember. But I got an email from the St. Cloud State track and field coach. And I was like, that's wild. Like I had honestly like not really heard of St. Cloud before. Like I had in the back of my mind. And then I got an email from the track coach, and it was a recruiting email. And I'm like, this is crazy that like in the first, like within a month period, I kind of found out about this place, but then I'm also hearing about it. So yeah, at that time as well, I was still deciding between whether to go to college for track or for basketball. I originally, my entire life was like, I'm going to go play basketball in college. Like, this is my goal. My mom was a college basketball player herself. She was an All-American. Yeah. So that's always been in our family. She actually, fun fact, went to Bemidji for a year, which was kind of,
fantastic. Too cold, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a little cold. They're both my parents are from Wisconsin, so they're used to the cold.
Okay.
But, yeah. So she was like, oh yeah, I've heard of St. Cloud. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. Now everybody knows about St. Cloud. So from there, me and my mom actually took from Missouri, this little road trip where we hit about 4 different schools that had recruited me for track or for basketball. And so we went to 4, just kind of making our way up the line. St. Cloud was our most north one. And so I walk in here into St. Cloud. I'm actually in the studios right now.
Thank
and
you,
we do the
St. Cloud,
tour.
Husky Productions.
Yes, thank you, Husky Productions. And we do the track and field tour. It was great. I meet the kind of your typical recruiting visit. You meet the coach, you see the facilities. And so eventually I got to the mass comm department. And it's kind of, you would never know this was here. And if you ask a lot of St. Cloud people, they don't know it's here. You kind of have to go through this little hallway and then into the doors. But once you get through the doors, you're like, holy smokes, what's going on? And so I met 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗙 stations. And it's so funny. The first time I met him, he was so stressed. He's like, oh, hi, I'm Derek. Nice to meet you. And he was like, here's the studio. And what I didn't know at the time was it was homecoming. And so they had all of the Husky Productions hockey broadcasts that they had to get in. So I was just kind of like in the middle of chaos, and I had no idea. But he showed me around, and I walked into the studios, and I was like, holy smokes, like it's insane. There's just not many places that you'll see. I almost wish I could like show everybody that have studios like St. Cloud State does. And we've had people since I've been here come in, and they're like, oh my goodness, this is nicer than the TV station I work at. Like, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So basically I went through the studios, and just, if you walked in here, if anybody walks in here, they're just in awe. And so me and my mom, me and my mom got back into the car, and we're heading back down to Missouri, and she turns and she looks at me and she goes, you're going here, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go here. And so that was kind of that from there. But
what's your specialty in track? Yeah.
So my specialty in track is javelin. I throw the javelin.
Okay.
And that's kind of all I ever did in track. It's kind of funny. So I went to Carrollton High School. I grew up in Malta, but I went to Carrollton High School, which was about a 25-minute drive, crazy enough. Because my dad was the career center director there. So I could go there and not the one in my town because he worked there. And I started track just to be in shape for basketball. And one of my senior friends was like, please join track. It's my last year. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I'm from a small town, Carrollton, and we actually didn't have a track coach. So it was kind of like the football coach got put on as the track coach. So me and my friend Emily, we actually taught ourselves how to throw the javelin. We didn't actually have a coach. So we're like sitting on the side of the bleachers, like YouTubing how to throw javelin. Like, it's just...
That's a great story. I mean, and it doesn't surprise me because you're a leader. You were born a leader. So what an incredible story that you've taught yourself. And now you're on a full scholarship, aren't you? Or a partial scholarship?
Partial scholarship, yeah.
At St. Cloud State for something she taught herself in track. That's fantastic.
No, you hype me up too much.
No, I see all, the awards and things that you win. And in fact, in addition to some of the sports honors, you've also, Husky Productions continually wins and is nominated for student production awards as well.
Yeah. It's been, ever since being part of Husky Productions, I'm the producer of Husky Productions. And in the past, it's kind of great stepping into a program that has had a history of success. And so, yes, as producer, I get to kind of change things a little bit this way. And especially being my second year, the first year, you're like, okay, let's just make sure nothing burns down and we are just good and we have a great broadcast. And, like, I love the creative aspect of broadcasting, but I'm like, let's just make sure things go right.
But streaming, it adds so many more dynamics.
Yeah.
And I'm going to interject here. Did you know our executive director of the Board of Governors and the foundation, JJ, John Murray, he went to St. Cloud State?
I did know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until it was right before Christmas break, and he actually came in to visit. And yeah, he was in St. Cloud, and he walked into the newsroom and we're like, hi, how can we help you? And he's like, oh, I'm JJ. And then he was like part of the board, and I was like, oh, hi, JJ. Like, I've emailed you before.
Yes, I had too. When I was first getting into the business, it's just funny how your paths cross. He's such a great man. And then of course, you didn't live here and you're too young, but our president of our foundation, whom you know, Diana Pierce, is a legendary news anchor that was here for like 32 years and on KARE 11. And just, so how lucky are we to have two leaders, two awesome people, but two of the best in the business leading the Board of Governors, as the Midwest Emmys, as well as our Student Production Awards. And of course, this is tied to the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. So it's just been an incredible opportunity to be on, around it. And then of course you applying for all of the scholarships. And I was just thrilled that I'm like, I want Savannah, for mine, because you just were so outstanding. Your leadership. I know both my late parents would have loved you. You are everything and the reason we give the scholarship. So it's been, such an honor, Savannah, to have you be our recipient, but also you've been so great about, being a guest presenter. And in fact, I haven't even told if JJ and Diana, if you're watching this, she is going to do that this year for the Student Production Awards, but even what you did for us for the Emmys and letting people know how important these scholarships are. And of course, we're going to get into everything about the Student Production Awards, but why was the Beaurline Family Scholarship and all of the other scholarships so important to you?
Yeah. I want to touch a little bit just on the Beaurline Family Scholarship, just because, of course, it was just so special to me, because obviously all the scholarships are incredible and I would not be here without all the scholarships, but it's something about having that family tie, like it's the Beaurline Family Foundation Scholarship. And the moment I got that, I had read about it when applying, and then you get it and I read into it, and just it kind of makes you sad, because I would have loved to meet Carl and Sandra. But at the same time, I think it's so cool that you developed this organization that keeps their names and their memory going, obviously you'll have the memories, but by creating this organization, anytime I think of my college experience and how I got through it, I always am going to tie it to your foundation, because it helped me in so much. And well, again, other scholarships are fantastic. That's what's going to come to the front of my brain. And, later in life, I'm going to reflect on that. And it just kind of feels cool to represent an organization like that, that has such a story and such a tie. And your family's story was so cool with, your dad didn't have a higher education, correct? But he still did all these cool things. And it was part of, you kind of want to give back so people do have the opportunity that he didn't. And that's Absolutely. Just very cool to me.
Well, thank you. And I wanted to make mention, of course, obviously I'm featuring the Beaurline Family Foundation, but we have some incredible families that are giving or have given and are giving scholarships even longer than I have the last 4 years. The Bob Franzen Leadership Scholarship. The Franzens are very well known here in the Twin Cities in media. The Carlini Media Scholarship, of course, 𝗬𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗪, who's on and has been. She was a former president of our organization, and just an incredible human and still working in the business. And remember, we were talking offline and off air about the ages that I was telling about. Well, she just hit her 50 gold. She was given the gold circle honor 2 years ago for 50 years in the business. So if that tells you anything, yeah, she's been doing this a long time. And then newly added this year for college is the Nancy Nelson. Everyone who's worked in this Twin Cities knows of Nancy Nelson, and the Bill Carlson Scholarship. That is in honor of her late husband. They were two dynamos. She still is a dynamo, and it's so wonderful to have them added. And then for high school, they had a lot of the former presidents get together and give the Emmy President Scholarship. And we have a new high school scholarship by the Welch Family Foundation. And I have had the pleasure to work with Katie Len Welch, who owns her own PR, Newsworthy Communications. We've done projects together. And so when I heard their family was going to participate, I was so excited. So thank you. Thank you to all the families, all of the scholarships in helping these students. In addition to scholarships, though, which is what we've been talking a little bit about with Savannah, who is the 2025 recipient of the Beaurline Family Foundation Scholarship for the Student Production Awards, which is tied to the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Upper Midwest Emmys. What a mouthful, but I have to make sure I say it appropriately. Yeah. And the names and some of the things have changed. So I'll have to make sure I have that branding correct. But if you're an educator, a parent, a grandparent, or a student yourself, as Savannah and I were talking about offline, a lot of people don't take the time to apply for these. There's money that we want to give to help you, and we make it very easy for you. We can send it directly to your school. But in addition to that, we've got classroom grants. If you're a media organization and you're needing, whether it's equipment or whatever it may be, go to the link and read all about that and apply. We want to give you money for that. And Tyler Eichhorst and his 𝗘𝗂𝗍𝗍 Productions donates a huge scholarship as well, and has a lot of times, I believe, don't quote me on this, last few years it's gone towards the classroom grants. He is amazing production. Everything he does is outstanding, top notch, but we're so thankful to him for that as well. But in addition to the classroom grants, we also have the AV All-Stars. There's always those who make the production go that don't see the on-air people. They don't see the producers. They're just the ones in the background that really are the superstars. And in fact, we always say, they're like the incredible technical asset to the overall success of a school or a nonprofit educational student video media program. Those are the ones we want you to nominate. These are the hardest working, most engaged and active students in the school's video program or club, the go-to students who keep you on the air. And we all know them and have worked with them. And so we're asking you to nominate them for the AV All-Stars, in addition to all of the various categories in the Student Production Awards. And Savannah, you've been a part of not only being nominated, but Husky Productions has won several of the categories that you've been a part of in the last couple of years. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, just last year we won best live, and I'm going to get the wording wrong, live sporting event. And then we actually had two of our talent that are part of the Husky Productions. They both won. And then we have a couple of our features that we air on television that won as well. So we were so excited to do that. And just having two of our talent, we were like, oh my goodness, this is so cool.
You do. I've noticed, there's a lot of great talent that comes out of a lot of the schools in the Upper Midwest, but and I love to stay in touch with our winners. I've mentored a lot of the students. I love that. It's funny, Savannah and I will get together for lunch, about once a quarter. And we're trying to do it. In fact, we're setting up our next one, and it's great. I mean, and you've reached out to me and asked me, and I love it. I love to mentor, but what I don't think you realize is you're mentoring me too, because you're with the latest and greatest and the newest, and you're telling me what's happening and what's coming. And that doesn't, we don't always get that, and we don't always see that unless we're working with the newest coming into the business like yourself. So thank you.
Well, yeah, I have a lot to learn, and you have plenty to teach me. So I will take all that I can get.
I'm still learning right along with you. That's, that was my parents' whole purpose for their scholarship, is your best investment is your education. And my dad was finally honored as one of Augsburg's own when he was 75. So it's never too late to have those honors and to always continue. A couple dates that I want to make mention here. Our student awards nomination. So the deadline's coming up February 6th. The nominations will be announced on Monday, March 9th. And the 15th annual student awards ceremony will be Friday, April 10th in St. Paul. All of that information is in the links above this video. If you go to MidwestEmmys.org, you can go to our Beaurline Family Scholarship, but also if you go to the link of students and teachers, that will give you all of the information. And of course, it's on the front page as well. And one of the things I'm so excited about, and thank you everyone for your grace as I cough. I have had and been battling influenza A and shingles since December 27th, and I'm 90% there, but I still have the dry cough, and I just, I'm still kind of having to push through. So I appreciate everyone's grace. But one of the things I'm most excited about on April 10th is Around Town TV will be, meaning me, will be on the red carpet once again doing live interviews with the students and educators and parents. And I just love doing that. And everyone seems so excited walking the red carpet. We'll actually have a red carpet again, like we did when we were downtown or on the University of Minnesota campus. Last year we were in a little stage area, as you know, but with the red carpet. But we are going back to the actual red carpet in that area. So we'll be back doing that.
That is exciting. I would like to mention, you are apologizing for the coughing, but I would like to say she did fill out one of my grad school applications while just completely sick, like 3 days after that December 27th start date. So she is pushing through.
That was actually the week I should have been in the hospital. And you're right. And I remember I can't let her down. I've got to do this. And you were accepted. You were accepted into that school. So there we go.
Yes,
see? It was worth it all. No, and I appreciate you. What else haven't we covered in your background, or you think people need to know about everything about the Student Production Awards, the scholarships, but also if there's a lot about you that we haven't talked about either. So,
no, I did want to mention, you talked about the classroom grants, and obviously not being from Minnesota, my school did not get this classroom grant. But I just wanted to say how impactful they are, just because actually in my own school in Carrollton High School, I was really big in the Carrollton Area Career Center, and one of my biggest mentors is Brooke Swindler. She was my agricultural teacher. And after I graduated, and once I kind of got into this communications field, she applied for a classroom grant and actually received one to create an ag communications lab within the Carrollton Area Career Center. So she got access to all new cameras. They bought drones. They're now using all the Adobe platforms, and that was never even a dream beforehand, just because obviously a smaller town. But it was kind of cool seeing that I got to advocate. I had to write a couple things for them to get that grant. But now I'm having like these kids reach out to me. That I call them kids. They're like 3 years younger than me, but the one's still in high school.
I call you a kid, and
yeah, and they're like, tell me what you did to get here or whatever. And I'm not saying that I'm anywhere, but they now see that as an opportunity, which I will say in kind of towns like that, and people probably see it that are from small towns, a lot of people are born there, they live there, and they die there, and they don't really ever see an option to leave. And it's not bad to not leave, but some people don't even see it as a possibility. Right. And so now, especially with this growing world of communications that we're in, this kind of class, back to my original point, this classroom grant really opened up some doors for people. And even just starting in, obviously it's in agriculture, but it gets their foot in the door. And lets them see kind of those possibilities. So I just wanted to say like how important those classroom grants are, for people to see that, wow, there's more to life that I could do.
Opportunities and great moments. What did Herb Brooks say in his speech? Great moments are made from great opportunities. And we don't always know about those opportunities, but that's one thing the Midwest Emmy Foundation and the Student Production Awards and all of the things that we try to provide are to create opportunities for our future, who will eventually be leading this business and finding those leaders and helping to develop those skill sets like yourself. You saw that. And like you said, it's not a bad thing to be born and raised and stay. But when there's opportunities, sometimes they just don't know they're there. And that's what we're trying to do, is get the word out about those opportunities.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just kind of seeing that was pretty cool, because I didn't have that opportunity when I was there, and just kind of had to figure some things out, try this, try that, and hopefully you get somewhere. But yeah,
absolutely. Well, you've more than gotten somewhere, because not only will you graduate from St. Cloud State, was it in 3 years?
3 years. Yeah. I don't really know how I managed to do that, but yeah.
And she works for Husky Productions, has a part-time job, is on a partial scholarship for track and in other extracurricular sports and things too. And in fact, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you're involved with that you wanted to share?
No, Husky Productions, track and field, part-time job.
Studying, going to class.
Studying, a couple classes maybe. My order's probably wrong. Husky Productions is here. Class is somewhere over here. We'll get to it.
Oh my gosh, you and JJ tells stories of those days too. Yeah. And what did my dad always say? In this, and there isn't a grade point average when you apply for these scholarships, but my dad would always say, D's get degrees. Oh, thank you, Roxanne. So there is a person who just posted, who's a business person, very well known in town and marketing as well. And she said she's very impressive on her way. And I've known Roxanne since Roxanne was 6. About 6.
Well, thank you, Roxanne.
Yeah, she's impressive herself. So from one impressive person to another. Yes. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you wanted to share?
Oh man. I would just say the biggest thing is just how important these scholarships are, I would not be able to come to an out-of-state tuition without being able to do that. And there's not many opportunities in Missouri that you could go to that is very affordable. And these scholarships, just not to name all of them, but, the RTDNA, the Radio Television Digital News Association, I got that one. And I just recently got the Broadcast Education Association one. So that was pretty neat. And I just wanted to say like how important those are. Just because, kind of going back, to the storytelling aspect, I love to tell stories. I was the kid that would write a short story and submit it to somebody to hopefully, get published somewhere. And it wasn't until my junior year when I was 16 and I started working at 𝗪𝗓𝗪 Media at a radio station, because that was the closest thing I could get to telling my stories. And from there, that's kind of what really blossomed this broadcast idea. So just these scholarships let that blossom more. And without those, again, I wouldn't be here. And, I have no idea where I would be. I would be somewhere telling a story, but I'm glad that
it's a feeling you would have figured it out. Yes. Yeah. But we're grateful that you're grateful.
Yeah, no. And I'm just very glad that it was St. Cloud State University that I ended up at. But I do find it funny that usually I'm not the one answering the questions. Usually I'm the one on the other side saying this.
Because you are on air, right? Yeah. Talk about some of your roles that you handle besides producing at Husky Productions in St. Cloud State.
So producing is my number one, but my freshman year, obviously you're not going to be producer. So I started as the graphics operator. So all the graphics you see on screen, that was me. Hopefully they were okay. But the biggest thing, and something I've always loved, is, again, going back to that storytelling, is the feature reporter role. And anybody on Husky Productions can be a feature reporter, which just basically means that you're the one that interviews the hockey team, or if we're doing one on the basketball team, you're the one that interviews it. You're the one that sets it up. And the really cool thing that I always thought was pretty neat about Husky Productions is you do all of it. So I saw a lot of programs where it's like one person interviews, one person edits, one person does this. If it's your feature, you're doing the entire thing, good or bad, you're doing the entire thing. So I just remember my freshman year, I would take up as many of these feature opportunities as I could, because I'm like, this is so awesome. Like we have all these access to these cameras, and I get to interview people, and you get to create a story completely of your own imagination. You can, and that's something I've always appreciated, and I still try to do as producer, is if somebody comes to me and they're like, this is a great story, I want to do it, here's my plan. I'm like, yeah, let's get you a camera. Let's do it. Why not? Just because, obviously the ones that people are passionate about are always going to be the best stories.
Absolutely.
In the end of it. So I can be like, oh, you go report on basketball all day, and if they don't care, it'll be a good story, but it'll
Well, I'm
be
glad
different.
they're allowing you to wear many hats too. And I mean, obviously, you
Yeah.
have to grow into different positions, but that'll prepare you for graduate school and sports journalism and everything you plan to do. Do you have your sights in graduate school, your sights set on the role you'd like to play in sports broadcast journalism? Do you want to be the
Oh boy.
person in front of the camera?
That's a hard one. I always, coming into college and until I got to college, I was always like, I'm going to be in front of the camera. I love interviewing people. That's always what I'd like to do. But now being producer, that's something I could step into as well. Just because I love that part of the broadcasting. So honestly, I'm more leaning towards producer, but again, I love doing the interviewing. I love that'll always be in my heart. So I don't know. I love editing. I love pretty much every part of it. The techie is where you lose me a little bit. The really technical stuff, if the camera breaks, we might be done for.
Yes. And I always try not to panic. And I try to figure it out, or I'll Google, or, and I'm thinking,
YouTube works wonders.
It does. It's funny. You were talking, we were talking about you're already accepted to Arizona State, the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism for graduate school. And I went there 1 year, my freshman year, before transferring back to Augsburg College. And the tuition for the year, out-of-state tuition for the year, was $2,500 back then. $2,500. I think it's like $80 or something now, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's out-of-state tuition,
Right.
It's
I mean,
it's a little bit different than it was a couple years ago. That's for sure, in terms of pricing for college.
Right. Because I remember when I first came back and applied and went to and graduated from Augsburg College, which was a private Lutheran college now called Augsburg University, for living on campus, food, everything, books, tuition, for I think the year was $14,000. And that, it was like,
wow.
Yeah. So just think about, in terms of life, of how much that has changed now. I'd give if it was that much, I'd probably go back and try to get my degrees, another degree or whatever. But anyway, I just was thinking about that. We were talking about dollars and scholarships and all the things. It's like, wow, life has really changed for school.
No, it definitely has. It definitely has. But thankfully, with scholarships, people we can get through it. But you were kind of talking about earlier that like people just don't apply for them, and a lot of I really try really hard to make connections with as many people as I can, because I think that everybody can teach me something. I don't know what it's going to be, but they can teach me something. And a pretty common thing that all of them have said is just there's so many people that just don't apply, and that applies to anything in life. There's so many people that just don't try. And that I just always thought, why would I just not put my foot forward? Why not?
Well, and you're the type that gives, instead of 100%, you give 300%. And if you do that, it always works out, even if it doesn't.
Yeah. No,
or,
for sure.
Or you're guided to something else. Well, I know you need to go eat and probably and go to bed, because you are one busy gal. But before we sign off, was there anything else that I haven't asked you that you thought I really need to share with the viewers of Around Town TV Live?
Oh man, that's such a hard one. I guess I would like to say one story just before we leave that I always like to share that kind of really got me into broadcasting. And I just think it's such a cool story, since we're kind of talking about this.
Yes.
But so this was back at 𝗫𝗄𝑠 when I think I'd been working there for 2 years at the point. And something about news that I kind of realized very early on is, so I was the Saturday night news anchor. So I was broadcasting to the state of Missouri at 16 years old. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, I don't really know why you guys thought this was a good idea. I was super excited. And I tell Jenny that, the manager, all the time. I'm like, how did you think that me being in control of this was a great idea? But
16 in Kalamazoo? You were on air?
16 in Missouri at 𝗫𝗄𝑠. Yep.
Wow.
On air, Saturday night news anchor, broadcasting to the state of Missouri. yeah, that was just kind of insane to me. But sorry, I'm straying a little bit.
No,
But at
thank you
that
for sharing.
point,
I had forgotten that.
yeah. And so at that point, I had realized that, especially being in news, as you know, we become kind of, and even viewers come kind of numb to the bad things that happen. You know, you see it every single day on the news, like somebody died or somebody did this, and it's just like you don't even feel it anymore. And especially writing it, I just kind of wrote it and was like, okay, let's publish it to the website. Let's read it. You know, it is what it is. You don't even think about it. And so it wasn't until a name came across my desk that I knew, and it was in a car accident, that I was like, holy smokes, like these are people, you know, you view those. The person was totally
Humans.
fine. Yeah, totally
The
fine.
person ended up being okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of my friends. They were totally fine. But it was at that point I kind of stepped back and I kind of doubted my going forward in broadcasting, because I didn't know if I wanted to be that person that knew about something bad that happened before their parents did. Like that was just an insane theory to me. So it took me a while to kind of get that spark back of storytelling, of like liking to do that, because I don't want to tell the story that somebody got in a car crash. Like that's not cool. But it wasn't until my boss sent me out. So I do live remotes for 𝗬𝗄𝗅. So I get sent around the state, take my little microphone, and I interview people at political openings, at business events, at whatever they want, the state fair, all the things. And I got sent to the 𝗘𝗗𝗞𝗏 Veterans Rodeo. And so this was a rodeo event that they put on, and all the proceeds go towards veterans. And I was kind of just like, okay, I'll go, you know, I'm still kind of in a rut or whatever. And I got to interview this guy named Tim. And Tim was the rodeo announcer. So the PRCA is the National Rodeo Association. And he was a big PRCA announcer. So he usually gets paid the big bucks. But he came in here to do it for free because it's the Veterans Rodeo. And so I'm interviewing Tim, has a great broadcasting voice, like great guy. He was a veteran himself, owned a construction company, then fell off of the building, broke like all of his legs, and was never supposed to walk again, and ended up doing it, like defeating all odds. Just an awesome guy. And so that's how he got into broadcasting, into announcing, is because he just needed something else. And so Tim's talking to me. And he's like, one of the best rodeo announcing stories I ever had was in Wyoming. And it was after I just announced this rodeo. And this couple came up to me. And the couple was just kind of talking. And he went out to shake the man's hand. And the man didn't shake it back. And he was like, okay. And the woman stepped forward and said, sir, my husband is blind. And the man stepped forward and he said, can I touch your face? Because that's like a way to understand who they're talking to and all that. And so the man kind of like grabbed him by the shoulders and he said, Tim, you allowed me to see my granddaughter ride for the first time in my life with your announcing tonight. And that's just when he told me that line, like my heart just dropped. Like it was just beautiful. And so I kind of credit Tim moving forward for giving me that spark for a story back. Just because that was just such a cool and heartwarming story that no matter how much bad in news and all the stuff we hear, and especially in today's world, especially now of what we're seeing,
and the division.
that news does have the opportunity, and broadcast does have the opportunity to show good. And I think that's just what we should focus on.
Absolutely. And reporting the facts and keeping our narratives out. And there is so much good that we can do. And I really love that you've shared that story, because there's always those people and those moments, they're called pivotal moments, of that you might have gone this way. And then it's like, oh, maybe not. And love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you, Sherry, for scholarships are a blessing for sure. And I know that my late parents wanted to provide opportunities for people like yourself that are our future leaders, and you've been incredible. For those who are tuned in throughout and you've heard different parts, we've been talking and learning more about Savannah. She's the current 2025 Beaurline Family Foundation scholarship recipient for the student, the Midwest Emmy Foundation Student Production Awards. We've talked about all the scholarships. They're all listed on the website in the link above, as well as classroom grants, AV All-Stars. There's high school and college awards and scholarships. Go to the website, apply. There's money that we want to give you. There's awards we want to give you. So make sure you go and apply for those. While this is the first show in 2026, I'm also, many of you know, I've started Car Talk for Carla because I'm not only an automotive enthusiast, I also am the regional vice president of sales for one of 4 stream companies. And we focus on tier 3 automotive dealerships. And so I am so excited on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. to my first Car Talk with Carla segment. Go ahead. What were we going to say?
No, I was saying you just got your car all fixed up too, right?
Oh, I did. Yes. And so I will have, he's kind of the person who encouraged me to apply for Stream. He has been featured on Around Town TV and one of the most favorite featured businesses for like 13 years. He has supported our golf tournament, the Around Town TV Celebrity Golf Classic, which is how we've raised money. And it is Brent Wade, the dealer principal of 𝗬𝗄𝗵𝗵𝗍𝒂 and Volkswagen Invergrove. And he will be my special guest on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you tune in for that show as well. And we'll have more great shows next week and in the weeks to come. Any parting words, Savannah, before we close the show?
Oh, no, I don't have any. It's just I'm so grateful that I received that scholarship. Hello, Mom, Dad, Josephine, if you are watching by chance. And as my dad keeps telling me, is go and tell your stories. And I'm glad that we both do that.
Oh, thank you for telling her that. Thank you for all who are watching and allowing us to tell our stories tonight. We're not only Minnesota, but we're America's lifestyle and business experts. And we've been featuring the best kept secrets, businesses, organizations, and people like Savannah since 2003. And we are the Twin Cities' longest airing television community showcase. And in fact, Savannah, were you born in 2003?
About 2 years after that, 2005.
See? Our show's older than you. And that's thanks to all of you who watch all of the wonderful featured businesses and organizations and people. So thank you. Please join us Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Central Time, right here on Around Town TV Live. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.